It was supposed to be a relaxing weekend. Just a few friends catching up in a quiet neighborhood house, sharing laughs and memories. But by Sunday morning, the air in the guest room had changed. A foul, undeniable smell was coming from the closet. What they found inside would shake the nation. A body, decomposing, stuffed behind winter coats. And no one had any idea who it was. Not the friends. Not even the homeowner. Or so she claimed. This is the case of the guest room closet corpse. A discovery that unraveled a horrifying secret hiding in plain sight. And it all began with a weekend sleepover gone terribly wrong. On October 11th, 2023, three longtime friends, Maya, Brielle, and Tasha, planned a casual girls' weekend in the suburb of Roselawn, Indiana. The host, 28-year-old Raina Doyle, had just moved into a charming colonial home with her boyfriend, Owen. She insisted they come stay. They could catch up, drink wine, and forget their hectic lives for a few days. The house was cozy but sparsely decorated. Raina explained that they were still settling in. The girls were assigned the guest room upstairs, a tidy space with a queen bed and a large wooden closet. At first glance, everything seemed normal. Until nightfall. That first night, Maya mentioned an odd smell. Faint but sour. Brielle joked it was probably old house mildew. They lit candles, opened a window, and dismissed it. But by Saturday night, the smell was unbearable. Something rotten. Something that didn't belong. Maya and Tasha agreed to check the closet. The door creaked open slowly. At first, just coats, scarves, boxes, and then, behind a rolled-up carpet, flesh. They screamed. Raina ran in. When she saw the mangled body, her face went pale. "I swear," she said, backing out of the room. "I don't know who that is." 911 was called. The police arrived within 12 minutes. They quickly secured the scene, evacuating the house. The body, wrapped tightly in duct tape and trash bags, was too far decomposed for immediate identification. What shocked detectives was the positioning, deliberate, almost ceremonial. Arms folded. A single note tucked in their shirt. It read, "She saw too much." Detectives began digging into Raina Doyle's background. To everyone, she was friendly, calm, a talented freelance graphic designer. But in college, Raina had a dark period. An ex-boyfriend disappeared after accusing her of stalking. The case went nowhere. She also had a history of therapy for dissociative episodes, memory lapses she described as blackouts. Raina insisted she had no idea there was a body in the closet, that she barely even used the guest room. But was she telling the truth? Raina's boyfriend Owen had been acting strange. He was nowhere to be found the morning the body was discovered. Phone off. Car gone. When detectives reached him 3 days later, he seemed agitated, sweaty. He claimed to be visiting his brother in Ohio. But license plate cameras showed his car never left town. Was Owen running from something? Or trying to hide something worse? The medical examiner confirmed the body belonged to a 24-year-old woman named Jenna Klein. Missing for 2 months. Cause of death, blunt force trauma and strangulation. Her last known location, a party Owen attended. Witnesses said Jenna left with him. Raina's home, specifically, the guest room, was now a crime scene. And the walls were closing in. Detectives found a receipt in the guest room trash dated August 2nd, 2 days after Jenna disappeared. It was for duct tape and heavy-duty trash bags. Paid in cash. Fingerprint analysis revealed a mix of Raina's and Owen's prints on the closet door. Surveillance footage from a nearby gas station showed Owen purchasing the same brand of trash bags. The pieces were coming together, but not cleanly. Owen was brought in for questioning. He denied knowing Jenna, but when confronted with the footage and the autopsy report, he broke down. "It was an accident," he mumbled. "We fought. She hit her head. I panicked. Raina didn't know. I swear." Detectives were skeptical. The body's positioning, the note, it was staged. Too deliberate. And what about the blackout Raina had the week Jenna vanished? The case went to trial in February 2024. Prosecutors charged Owen with second-degree murder and Raina with obstruction and improper disposal of a corpse. During cross-examination, Raina sobbed, claiming she truly didn't remember anything about that week. Owen maintained she had nothing to do with it. But a journal was discovered. Raina had written about dreams, nightmares, of a woman screaming in the guest room. Jury deliberation lasted 6 hours. Owen was found guilty. Raina, not guilty by reason of mental illness. She was committed to a psychiatric facility. Today, the Roselawn house stands empty. Locals call it the Closet House. Maya, Brielle, and Tasha say they still have nightmares. Of the smell. Of opening the door. Of the scream Raina let out when she saw the body. Some believe she truly didn't know. Others think she buried the truth so deeply she fooled even herself. One thing is certain. The closet will never feel like a safe place again. What do you think really happened in that guest room? Was Raina a manipulated bystander, or a silent accomplice? Let us know in the comments. As authorities sealed the Roselawn home for further forensic analysis, rumors spread like wildfire in the town. Kids dared each other to sneak up to the front porch. Some claimed to hear whispers from the upstairs window. Inside, forensic teams uncovered more than expected. Fragments of what looked like charred paper inside a vent behind the closet. Partial sentences, possibly from a diary or letter, were visible. She screamed, tried to run, couldn't let her. The chilling fragments were sent to a lab. Investigators feared it was a confession, burned before it could be destroyed completely. Meanwhile, Raina remained silent. Her attorneys said she was suffering from acute dissociation. But was it trauma or guilt? Piecing together Jenna Klein's final moments became the DA's top priority. She was a kind soul, an aspiring vet tech, last seen leaving a small house party held at a mutual friend's. Several partygoers said she argued with Owen about her friend, Amber, a girl Owen had dated briefly and allegedly assaulted. Jenna told friends she didn't trust Owen. She didn't want to leave the party alone. But Owen insisted he'd give her a ride. Phone records showed her last call was made at 1:08 a.m. To Amber. It never connected. By 1:22 a.m., her phone had been shut off. Across the street from Raina and Owen lived 72-year-old Mrs. Eloise Garland, a retired nurse with a sharp memory. She told detectives she remembered hearing a loud thud and screaming around 2 a.m. the night Jenna vanished. She assumed it was TV noise. But after the body was found, she realized what she'd heard. There was one scream, then silence, and a man's voice saying, "Sure, no one will know." Her statement sent chills down the spines of everyone in the courtroom. As the forensic team swept the guest room, they discovered something even more disturbing than the body itself, a hidden pinhole camera inside a smoke detector above the bed. The memory card held dozens of short clips, most appeared innocuous, showing guests sleeping or reading. But one video file was encrypted. When tech specialists recovered it, they found a shaky clip of Jenna entering the room, visibly upset, pacing. Then Owen walks in. The door closes. The video cuts. Confronted with the footage, Owen went silent. His lawyer urged him to remain quiet. But the prosecution painted a haunting image. Owen, obsessive and controlling, brought Jenna to the house. An argument ensued. Raina, either unaware or willfully blind, stayed in her studio downstairs. And by morning, Jenna was dead. Whether Raina helped hide the body or not, she lived with it for weeks. Slept in the same house. Ate dinner upstairs. While a young woman decomposed just feet away. What does that do to someone's mind? The forensic revelation. Shocking new trace evidence uncovered. A twist in Raina's diary. More disturbing entries point to a double life. Jenna's secret investigation. Was she getting too close to a dangerous truth? Owen's previous girlfriends. A pattern of abuse finally exposed. The House Speaks, Our Cadaver Dogs reveal more than one secret in the Roselawn home. The forensic analysis on the carpet roll in the guest room closet brought back something unexpected. Not just blood, but a hair sample that didn't belong to Jenna, Owen, or Raina. DNA confirmed it belonged to another woman, Amber Reeves, Jenna's best friend. This revelation reignited investigators' suspicions. Was Amber more involved than she let on? Or was someone else framing her? Amber was brought back in for questioning. She was defensive, panicked, and at one point blurted out, "I told her not to go with him. I told her she'd end up like the others." Others? Turns out, Jenna had been looking into Owen on her own. Her personal laptop, recovered from her apartment, was full of notes, screenshots, and saved voice memos. One note read, 3 girls. All dated him. All moved. All cut off everyone. What if they didn't move? Police reopened missing persons reports from the last 4 years and matched one of the moved-away women, Leah Douglas, to a Jane Doe found in a wooded area 2 years prior. The pattern was forming. Jenna had uncovered it, and it may have gotten her killed. Owen's former relationships were far from normal. One ex, Danielle M., told police she left Owen after he grew increasingly violent and manipulative. He tracked my phone, hid cameras. I only escaped when he was out of town. Another woman, Natalie H., had vanished in 2020. Her case was declared a runaway. But now detectives wondered, was Owen a serial predator, eliminating women who got too close or too brave? Searches of his storage unit turned up burned cell phones, women's jewelry, and a small notebook full of names and dates, each crossed out with red ink. Jenna's name was the last entry. Cadaver dogs brought in to search the Roselawn house returned to the guest room, and didn't stop there. They barked near the basement wall, just behind the boiler. A hidden compartment. Inside, photos. Dozens of Polaroids. Women in various states of unconsciousness, fear, and in some cases, terror. Some images were time-stamped. They aligned with the disappearances. Owen had kept trophies. The prosecution now had a stronger case, not just murder, but a pattern. A psychological predator who had used charm and secrecy to destroy lives. As the trial concluded, the jury now had more to consider. Not just Jenna's murder, but the potential pattern, the notebook, and the photographs. Owen was sentenced to life in prison without parole. Raina's fate was more complicated. Experts testified that she may have suffered from trauma-induced dissociation, potentially repressing her knowledge of what happened. In the end, the court committed her to a high-security psychiatric institution. Roselawn moved on, but not without scars. The house remains empty, occasionally visited by documentary crews. And every year on the date of discovery, someone leaves a single note at the doorstep. It reads, "She saw too much." Roselawn was a quiet town, the kind where people leave doors unlocked. But after the closet body discovery, things changed. Panic spread like wildfire. Real estate values dropped. Parents kept children indoors. Neighbors who once hosted barbecues now drew blinds. Whispers of the closet house filled grocery store aisles. And then came the protesters. A local women's rights group began holding vigils outside the property, holding signs. Believe the blackouts, and how many more? Some viewed Raina as a victim of coercion. Others saw her as complicit. Divides deepened. Jenna Klein's younger sister, Erin, was just 19 when her world shattered. She had idolized Jenna. In every interview, Erin wore Jenna's favorite green hoodie. "I knew something was wrong that night," Erin said in a televised interview. "She always texted me good night." That night, nothing. Erin spearheaded a digital campaign, #JusticeForJenna. It went viral, drawing national attention. Podcasts picked up the case. So did news outlets. But for Erin, no amount of hashtags could bring her sister back. 2 months after sentencing, Owen agreed to a prison interview with a true crime network. He looked different, thinner, haunted. When asked why he did it, he paused. "She was going to ruin me." "Who? Jenna?" "No, Raina." The interviewer leaned in. Owen went quiet. "Then, she made me do things. Said I was weak. I proved her wrong." The chilling confession sparked renewed debate. Was Owen shifting blame? Or was there a side of Raina no one had seen? In a box labeled miscellaneous from the original case files, a detective found an overlooked USB stick. It contained video files, home footage. One file showed Raina and Owen rehearsing what to say if questioned. Raina appeared shaky, but repeated phrases Owen told her. "Say you never go in the guest room. Say you smelled nothing." Was she coached or controlled? Experts analyzed the footage, concluding there were signs of duress and psychological manipulation. The court declined to reopen her case. But public opinion began to shift. Months later, Raina's doctor released excerpts from her therapy journal with permission. The final entry read, "I hear her. In dreams. I see the closet door open. She doesn't speak. Just stays. And I can't wake up." The words sent chills through readers. Some believed it was guilt. Others, a cry for help. Raina remains institutionalized. No parole hearings are scheduled. Owen is in solitary confinement for his own protection. And the Roselawn house? For sale. Still untouched. But the listing says, "Do not open the guest room closet." Months later, the guest room remained untouched, still sealed off by police tape. The scent of stale air lingered like a ghost, and neighbors avoided even glancing at the house. But Erin returned. She stood in the room where her sister once slept, where her body was found, and tried to piece together the final hours. She imagined Jenna lying awake, maybe hearing something. A creak of the closet, a whisper in the dark. The wallpaper peeled in one corner. Behind it, Erin discovered something no one else had seen, a name etched into the drywall. Kara. The name of another missing girl. Kara Melton had disappeared in 2015. She was never linked to Owen, or to Raina. But the name scrawled in the closet wall changed everything. Erin shared the finding with Detective Marlowe, who reopened several old missing persons cases. Some had eerie similarities, women who looked like Raina, girls from the same college town Owen once lived in. One case, in particular, stood out. Veronica Dale vanished after a party Owen hosted. Her body was never found, but her name was in the metadata of a photo recovered from Owen's hard drive. The deeper the dive, the more unsettling the discoveries. Owen had kept more than trophies. He had digital archives, neatly organized, of conversations, photos, even diary entries. But one entry, labeled "Don't Look Here," contained a video of Raina. She was staring at the camera, whispering, almost chanting, "They made me do it. They made me do it. It wasn't me. It was her." Who was her? Herself. Another personality? Or someone else entirely? A psychological evaluation revisited Raina's diagnosis. Dissociative identity disorder was floated, something that would explain the radical shifts in behavior Jenna had described. At the reopening of Raina's case, new evidence was introduced: Kara's name, Veronica's metadata, the whispering video. But it was the journal entry, found burned in the fireplace but partially recoverable, that haunted the courtroom. It read, "The guest room was supposed to be safe, but the door never stayed shut. It kept opening. She kept coming out, and I couldn't stop her." Mental health professionals debated whether Raina had committed murder or if someone else had, and she'd merely collapsed under the weight of trauma and suggestion. The jury couldn't convict her. Raina remained in psychiatric care, indefinitely. The house was put up for auction but never sold. Locals said lights still flickered in the guest room. Some claimed to see a shadow at the window. Erin started a non-profit in Jenna's name, helping families of missing women reopen cold cases. She made it her life's work. Before leaving town for good, she walked back into that guest room. The closet door creaked. She opened it. Empty, except for one thing: a Polaroid pinned to the back wall. A girl neither Erin nor the police could identify. A fresh mystery, one that whispered the story wasn't over. 6 months had passed, yet the house on Roselawn Avenue refused to be silent. Neighbors reported hearing strange noises, flickering lights, and shadows in the windows at night. Rumors of the haunting spread quickly, but for Erin, it was never about ghosts. It was about answers. Erin returned to the house with a documentary crew aiming to tell Jenna's story. Equipped with permission from the bank that had repossessed the property, she stepped into the cold shell of what was once her sister's last happy memory. The crew set up in the living room while Erin, with a flashlight and camera, walked down the hallway. She paused near the guest room. Her hand trembled on the doorknob, knowing what had been found behind it. But as she turned, she noticed something odd. The wall near the closet echoed hollowly when tapped. The crew confirmed it with sonar. There was a crawl space that had never been listed in the house blueprints. Behind the drywall was a narrow, cramped tunnel leading to a cubbyhole no more than 4 feet wide. Inside it, they found a locked box. Erin turned away as the box was pried open. Inside were mementos, wristwatches, earrings, tiny keepsakes, labeled with women's names. Some names matched known victims. Others were unknown. Chillingly, Jenna's name was not among them. One label simply read, "The one who knew." Investigators believed these were trophies. Perhaps Raina had kept them, or perhaps Owen. But one thing was clear: Jenna had discovered something deeper than a single murder. A second, larger investigation was launched. Police now combed through missing persons records, old motel check-ins, and even traced Owen's college years. The picture that emerged was darker than anyone imagined. A list began to form: 12 names, 9 confirmed missing women, and 3 unsolved murders within a 15-year span. Each had a loose connection to either Owen or Raina. Erin, devastated but determined, offered to speak with families. One mother, whose daughter disappeared in 2015, collapsed in Erin's arms when she was shown a photo of a silver charm bracelet found in the crawl space. It had belonged to her daughter, Heather. Erin became an advocate not just for Jenna, but for all the women whose lives had been silenced. She helped organize vigils, reopened forgotten cases, and forced a deeper review of systemic oversights. Roselawn's quiet suburban mosque had hidden a monstrous secret. Owen, now 4 years into his sentence, broke his silence again. This time, his confession shocked the nation. He claimed he had discovered the crawl space after marrying Raina. The trophies were hers, he insisted. She had confessed in her sleep, cried out names he didn't know. He said she'd told him once. They trusted me. I was their friend. They never saw it coming. Investigators couldn't confirm this, but they did find one cryptic piece of evidence. A photo dated 2012 showing Raina smiling with one of the missing women at a women's self-defense seminar. Erin sat alone in the Roselawn house one last time before it was demolished. She lit candles for the 12 women and placed their photos in a circle. As the wind howled outside, she recorded a message for her followers. Jenna's story started in this house, but it doesn't end here. Behind every closet door might be a truth someone wanted hidden. Look closer. Listen deeper. Speak louder. That night, Erin left the house with something Jenna had once said echoing in her ears. If I disappear, make noise. And she did. Even with both Raina and Owen out of the picture, Roselawn couldn't shake the weight of what had happened. Jenna's childhood friends spoke about how the entire neighborhood had changed. The Roselawn guest house, once a cozy spot for travelers and family gatherings, remained shuttered. Grass grew long, windows dust-covered. It stood like a mausoleum of secrets. Yet it wasn't the house that haunted Roselawn. It was the silence, the unanswered questions, the fact that no one could truly say what happened between Owen and Raina. The court of public opinion wavered between blaming one or the other, or both. Rumors continued to spread. In town, a new podcast episode titled Roselawn's Closet went viral. It featured survivors of toxic relationships, amateur investigators, and a retired detective who believed Raina's actions were coerced. But Owen wasn't acting alone. This sparked another wave of national attention, reopening old wounds. A breakthrough came from an unlikely source. The forensic team had originally catalogued all the items in the closet but missed a small scuff mark in the corner. Upon revisiting the house for a documentary shoot, a producer noticed a hollow sound behind the drywall. They called it in. When the wall was opened, authorities discovered something even more chilling, a second set of fingerprints on a beam behind the closet. They didn't match Owen or Raina. After days of analysis, they matched a man named Kyle Barris, someone never mentioned in the investigation. Kyle had been a guest at the house a year before Jenna's death. He was a family friend. Quiet, bookish, but he had a sealed juvenile record and had gone off the radar. Authorities scrambled to find Kyle. He hadn't been seen in years. The FBI put out a warrant. Jenna's sister, Erin, now a national figure in victims' advocacy, offered a $50,000 reward. A break came when a woman in Colorado reported a man matching Kyle's description living under a fake name and working construction. He was arrested quietly after a DNA match confirmed his identity. Interrogation revealed that Kyle had once stayed at the Roselawn home with Owen. They had known each other from a men's rehab program. He admitted that something happened with Jenna, but he blamed Owen. I didn't touch her, he said. But I knew, and I didn't stop it. This confession changed everything. Jenna's death was no longer seen as the product of a broken couple alone. It became the story of a chain reaction, a toxic trio. Raina, Owen, and Kyle, all orbiting around secrets and shared trauma, became the subject of a Netflix docuseries in production. The script included audio logs, psychological evaluations, and reenactments. But most chilling of all was a photo recovered from Raina's hidden journal. It showed Jenna and Kyle standing together, smiling, weeks before her death. No one had known they even met. In the final chapter of the court proceedings, Kyle took a plea deal for obstruction of justice and received 10 years. He was never charged with murder. Raina remained under psychiatric care. Owen served life without parole. The Roselawn home was eventually condemned. Before demolition, a local artist painted the guest room door with a mural of wildflowers and Jenna's face. Her sister, Erin, gave a speech. This closet is closed, but we will never stop opening the doors that hide the truth. The audience cried. Across the street from the crime scene sat an elderly man named Mr. Halvorsen, who'd lived in the neighborhood for over 40 years. He'd watched the house at 121 Roselawn from his rocking chair long before Owen and Raina moved in. But what Mr. Halvorsen confessed to Jenna during a quiet porch conversation would change everything again. I saw Raina sneak out that night, he whispered, eyes downcast. She looked scared, like she was running from something, or someone. Jenna blinked. Wait, what night? The night of the murder. Mr. Halvorsen nodded. He hadn't gone to police, convinced it was just a lover's quarrel. But Jenna knew this meant Raina had left the house before the crime. And if that was true, Owen may not have been alone after all. Newly discovered surveillance footage from a gas station 2 blocks away showed a man, hooded and tall, buying duct tape and rope minutes after midnight. Police had never followed this lead, assuming the case was closed. But Jenna did. She followed the trail, tracked the receipt, and found that the card used belonged to an old friend of Owen's, Tyler Graham, a college buddy with a history of drug abuse and violence. Could Tyler have returned that night? Could he have followed Raina home? Tyler's last known location was a rehab center in Arizona, but he'd checked out a week after the murder. Phone records Jenna obtained through a legal advocate showed a single 911 call made from Raina's phone, never recorded in the original case files. The call dropped within 6 seconds. The timestamp, 1:13 a.m. Police claimed it was a system error. Jenna wasn't buying it. The timestamp aligned exactly with the coroner's estimate of death. And if Raina tried to call for help, why wasn't it investigated? Unless someone inside the department had suppressed it. Someone trying to protect more than just Owen. One last journal was discovered in a storage locker Raina's mother had forgotten she paid for. Inside, a single entry stood out. "I'm not safe. His back. He said he'd kill her if I told. But I can't stay quiet anymore. Jenna deserves the truth." The page was dated the night before the murder. She knew something was going to happen, and she was planning to tell Jenna everything. But someone got to her first. Jenna arranged a meeting with Tyler Graham at a halfway house in New Mexico. He looked thinner, twitchier, but not scared. "You think you're the only one with secrets," he hissed. Raina played everyone. You have no idea what she was involved in. He never admitted anything outright. But his smirk when Jenna asked about that night said more than words ever could. Despite renewed interest and online petitions, the case wasn't reopened. Too many lost files. Too many loose ends. Too much political pressure. Raina's official story remained: accidental death, complicated by mental illness. But Jenna knew better. The Roselawn house was finally sold to developers. The guest room closet where Kayla's body was found, sealed shut with bricks and plaster. A symbolic burial of truth. As if the house itself wanted to forget. But the scars remained, on Jenna, on the town, and in the whispers of neighbors who still spoke of the closet house. Jenna published a memoir titled In the Closet, What Was Never Told. It soared to bestseller lists within weeks. She donated all profits to victims of domestic abuse. She shared Kayla's story, not as a cautionary tale, but as a call for action. A reminder that silence protects the wrong people. A month after publication, Jenna received an anonymous package. Inside, a flash drive. One video file. It showed Raina and Kayla in the guest room, alive. Laughing. Talking about leaving Owen. It was timestamped 48 hours before the murder. But someone was recording from outside the window. The file ended abruptly, with heavy breathing. The Roselawn house is now a remodeled duplex. Fresh paint. New carpet. A cheerful swing set in the backyard. But the new family says their daughter won't sleep in the guest room. She says a girl talks to her from the closet. Her name's Kayla. She says she was hurt, and no one believed her. The mother asked Jenna what it meant. Jenna didn't know how to answer. Maybe some closets don't stay shut. If you were gripped by this story, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to True Crime Hub. Comment below, do you think Raina was a victim, or part of the plan? Your voice might help reopen a case that deserves justice. Join us next time, where truth hides in the most unexpected places.